This podcast is part of the Red5 Network. For more Red5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.
Hello there. Hello there. Hello there. Hello there. Hello there. Hello there. Another happy landing.
What's up, everybody? I'm Big Lovin. This is DellaSnooch. Welcome to the Escape Pod, episode 51, Red 5 Roundtable Review. Clankety clank, bitch.
Nailed it.
I was practicing it in my head the whole time during the intro.
Well, good. You did a good job.
I think so.
We're going to do something a little different tonight. It's not just going to be me and Brady entertaining you. We are going to, after we get through our regular top of the show event stuff, we're going to bring on members of other podcasts, members of the Red 5 Network, and I believe Philly Dave Martin from the Gen X POV will be hanging out with us as well.
Hopefully.
He did have a meeting, so he's in the wings, so he will be with us.
Sweet.
We're looking forward to getting into this conversation about the Light of the Jedi with some other folks. We usually have a tendency, or we only get to have us on the show, and so it'll be real nice to have some other folks to kick some ideas around with.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool.
Definitely.
So let's get into it, man. So those people waiting in the wings don't have to wait too long.
You can find us as always on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and all your favorite podcasting apps like iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, Audible, and Google Play. You can check out other Red 5 Network shows on the red5network.com. Holy cow, I chewed that up.
Jesus.
For all kinds of excellent podcasts like the Scarif Scuttlebutt, and no, it's not the Scarif Scuttlebutt, it's the Scarif Podcast.
Yes.
And the Science Fictionary.
There you go.
That's the Scuttlebutt.
That is the Scuttlebutt. If you're listening to this as an audio podcast, please consider joining us live Wednesday nights on YouTube at youtube.com/c/ATSW The Escape Pod, all one word.
Please join us at patreon.com and search ATSW The Escape Pod like Brady's dad did last week.
Yes.
In a search creator bar, and you can support our show and get in on the exclusive Escape Crate.
Heck yeah. Thanks again, Dad. I can shout out my dad. I don't care. I'm 38 years old and I'll still shout out my dad any damn day of the week. So please visit our store on tpublic.com. Search the Escape Pod. Actually, search ATSW The Escape Pod, and make sure that you scroll down and look at all the random goodies like phone cases, pillows, and tote bags. In addition to t-shirts and hoodies. Definitely.
Now, I do want to say I just had a issue with a shirt that I bought from TeePublic.
Uh-oh.
I took a photo of the part of it must have not laminated properly. So when I washed it the first time, it started to come apart. So I took a photo of it and sent an email to them. They're like, yeah, give us a photo. Within like 20 minutes of me getting off of the email with them, I had a new one getting
sweet.
Or, in line to get shipped.
Hell yeah.
So
nice. That's some service right there.
Yeah, just absolutely high quality customer service.
Hey, before we get into shout outs, you want to give shout outs to what we got going in the live chat?
Definitely. We got Rural Farm Boy just checking in, Eric Williams, Lunar Girl, Dragon Buddy, Just Jen, and I believe Jess usually is listening but not in the chat. He'll pop in just to say something silly.
Yeah.
Just to put us in our place.
Yeah.
That about rounds out who we got so far.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Greatly appreciate your presence. So we're gonna get to Patreon shout outs, right? No. Just regular shout outs. Shout outs. First and foremost, always got to give a shout out to the mothership. That is from a Gen X point of view, rocking one of their awesome Beavis and Butthead inspired logos today. I wore this during my son's college stuff that we were doing. Yeah. I get so many compliments on this shirt.
I really do.
I get we went to McDonald's this morning for breakfast, and the lady at the register, she was like, "Oh, I love your shirt," and I'm like, I know you get it, but I don't think you catch that it's not Beavis and Butthead. You know, it's Dave and Jason, but that's okay. Thanks for loving the shirt. You know what I'm saying? Because it is a dope shirt. So next, let's give a shout out to Kim and Scott for Used and Abused. They got their episode coming up this Saturday, or the 13th. Correct? Is that Saturday?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it is Saturday. So they got an episode coming up. So check them out. They're doing their thing.
Yep.
And then check out our man Keith. Check out Layman's Terms on Facebook. He's doing his thing. He just put out a small little snippet within the Sidebar Cantina, which is a part of the from a Gen X point of view. All things Star Wars escape pod world that we all are a part of. They've got their own little page there, and it's fun to see the daily. He throws his video. If they're not within his own Facebook page, he's throwing them in that group. So it's good to check him out.
Yep.
Then check out our man Big Swede for Big Swede's Excellent Adventure and Tactical Swede, or Swede Reacts on YouTube, or something Swede, or I'm Sexy and I Swede it. And hey Swede, where the fuck are you?
And Big Swede Does Dallas was the last one I saw.
Big Swede Does Dallas. Whoa.
It was full. It was a full show.
It seems like it would be a full show.
All right. Our Patreon shout outs have expanded by one this last week. Scott and Kim Rasmussen, Todd Lovin, Jen and Jess Bolt, Big Swede, Lunar Girl, Dragon Buddy, Richie the King Armbruster, Old Man Johnson, Eric Dub Williams, Philly Dave Martin, and as always, Nostalgia Inc. sponsoring the Escape Crate. We really appreciate you guys' support.
Absolutely. And once again, thanks, Dad.
Well, you know what time it is.
Oh, I know what time it is.
It's movie time. Movie time. It's movie time. Movie time.
So for you guys that are getting new to the show, we have little audio clip lead-ins to our little subtopics, and they were made by fans of the show, so we like to always spotlight that.
Oh hell yeah, and we will continue to do that through all next. Hopefully, somebody does a Falcon and Winter Soldier. That one could be up because that's going to be the new series. So if anybody's going to do a Falcon and Winter Soldier, put something together, shoot it to Don, shoot it to myself, and we'll throw that in there. So if you got something catchy to come up with the Falcon and Winter Soldier, come up with something catchy and send it our way. We'd definitely love to have it.
You want to lead us off?
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver confirms Galaxy Quest sequel is in the works. I just heard about this news by reading it, and that's fantastic because I love Galaxy Quest. That's such a great movie.
Quest.
Oh, we got to do a show on Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, that would be a good one, especially if when we figure out when this is going to be coming out.
Yeah, we'll do it closer to that.
A lead in.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Unless it's going to be a long time away, and we'll just pack it in.
Two of them. We'll just do it a second time. Maybe we have a new audience by then, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is brand new. This
brand new shit.
I did not know this."
Or either that, or it'll be poignant, so we'll just rerun it.
Exactly. Nobody will know.
Back to the Future mini documentary series is coming to Discovery Channel.
This excites me on so many levels.
I knew that it was going to. You're excited. Check out these.
You're excited to feel these nipples. Yay!
I knew that was going to hit you right in your feels.
Oh, dude. I love me some Back to the Future, dude.
It looks like
I don't need no remade movies. You can give me history all you want, behind the scenes and documentary style stuff. That's great, but we're not redoing those movies.
It looks like Christopher Lloyd has a shit ton to do with this doc.
Good. That's what. Yeah, that's what the.
So the doc's in the doc.
The doc is in the doc, and we need Doc in the doc. Yeah. Sorry. Marvel's Ant-Man 3 gets a February 16th, 2023 release date based on theater listings. That's kind of funny. I didn't know theaters existed anymore.
They do. In fact, I just went to the fucking movie theater last week.
How was the popcorn?
It was fantastic.
Yes.
It was almost as good as I remember it.
Awesome.
We went and saw that A War with Grandpa.
Oh yeah, with Robert De Niro and the little kid.
It was just a cute little date night movie.
Yeah.
Like, we had a real nice time. We were the only people in the fucking theater too.
Oh, that had to make it even better.
I just nudged her halfway through the movie and was like, see, baby, I rented out a whole theater for you.
Just for you.
This is exactly how you're going to get treated the rest of our marriage. She's like, you're full of shit.
Fantastic.
So Bruce Campbell confirms that Evil Dead Rise will begin filming in New Zealand later this year. Where are you at on Evil Dead?
As long as he makes him to be campy and funny, I'm cool. But like, I didn't get into the little TV show thing they did.
Oh yeah, I didn't watch. Was it Ash vs. the Evil Dead?
Yeah, I didn't get into that. So I mean, I like the ones from the 80s, but I've not gotten into anything in the more modern day era.
Now, I don't know if you noticed in the show ideas, I put Army of Darkness.
Yeah,
I would like to do a show.
Oh no, we can do that. That's fine.
So there we go.
That's what I'm saying. We can do the original stuff. I'm not too hip and keen on the newer shit. I don't know.
Army of Darkness is by far my favorite.
Yeah, I don't know who that'll piss off, but oh well. Disney CEO Bob Chapek. Is that his name?
Yeah.
I thought it was Bob Iger.
Nope, not anymore. Iger stepped down.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Fucking Bob's taking over the fucking world.
All the Bobs.
All the fucking Bobs.
It's the Bobiverse.
Just passing the fucking Bobiverse. What the fuck? Disney CEO Bob Chapek confirmed that Kathleen Kennedy will be head of Lucasfilm for years to come in a tweet.
So there you go. All of the angry internet nerds can just be like, well, fuck.
Yeah. Well, this just doesn't make me happy.
I like some of the things that have happened under Kathleen Kennedy, and I've not liked some things under Kathleen Kennedy. And I think if you put somebody else in that job, I would like some shit they do, and I would hate other shit they do.
Because she was just as much as part of the Mandalorian as she was the fucking whole sequel trilogy. So
right.
You got problems with one, you don't got problems with the other. So fucking take and leave what you want and don't want. Pick and choose, whatever.
Personally, I think that the way you do shit is like they did over at Marvel. You let somebody run the idea, and then you entrust the art to the artists.
Yes.
And you go, this is the vision. Take us on a trip. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, like, if they had somebody at Warner Brothers that could do that,
yeah,
then we'd have a fucking Warner Brothers universe that was worth a dick. Being a a DC fan, it hurts me to say that.
Yeah.
But I just think that the problem has been with who you have directing the vision.
Exactly. Well, that's all right, because I'm getting a little shit in the comments. People's like Just Jensen Favreau had his reigns in The Mandalorian. Dragon Buddy agrees with her. I agree with that. I'm not saying you're lying, but she had the same producing role in The Mandalorian that she had in the sequel trilogies.
Right.
So she had the same, she was a part of the same shit on just different things, but she had the same role in those things. So if you hate one, she was still part of both of them. You can't, you know what I mean? So you can't just take her for the shit you don't like and not say she wasn't successful with the other stuff, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because she was successful with The Mandalorian. She was a producer on that. She wasn't as successful, some would say, with the sequel trilogy. She was a producer on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I mean? So, but as long as they keep putting out content like The Mandalorian, I'm in there like swimwear, baby.
Yep. We got Disney CEO also confirms that Black Widow is still currently scheduled for a May 7th release, which is fine because you can just you can sign my vaccinated ass up. I will be at the theater.
I want to know why they've kept, like, what has happened with this movie that we're like, we need to keep pushing it. Why do they keep pushing it? Everybody else is like, I'm going to release my movie. Wonder Woman 84. We're going to release our movie. Like, what?
Well, because it fits in, what I'm assuming is it fits in a very specific timeline.
Then why'd you make it so fucking early?
What do you mean?
This movie's been ready to go for a long fucking time.
Yeah, but
has it not?
They've pushed the entire MCU back.
Yeah, but it was supposed to come out before WandaVision. Initially.
It was supposed to.
So, like, what the fuck's going on?
It just has to come out before Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And the new Spider-Man movie. So I think that Well, fuck it. You know what I think. My ass will be sitting in a seat with a bucket of popcorn.
Power fighting the mic.
I'm bad.
All right into video game news. GTA 6 might cost up to $70 in 2021.
That it bothers me for certain titles, but I guarantee you a GTA game doesn't. I mean, look at how much mileage has come out of GTA 5.
It doesn't. Yeah, GTA 5 has been going since the Xbox One came out.
Right.
Or no, before the Xbox One came out, when it was the Xbox 360.
Right.
And then it transitioned to one. Now it's onto a new console, and they're still putting content out for that game.
Yep.
I'll pay $70 for that game.
There's absolutely nobody who's going to go, I don't know, GTA at 70 seems steep.
Yeah, not me.
So
not if you've played any of GTA 5 for any amount of time.
Right.
It's still a relevant game.
This next piece of news is kind of interesting, especially if you're a Nintendo fan. Nintendo president, I didn't write down his name because it's hard to pronounce. Is it Yoshi?
I can't even begin to start to say what the fuck that dude's name is.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not an asshole, but I'm being an asshole, I guess.
Yoshida. I think his last name's Yoshida.
Gotcha.
Anywho, he wants to avoid a nosedive with a Switch, so they acknowledge that they're going to need to keep that fresh, which I think implies that they plan on staying with that Switch concept where you've got a docking station, you can go from handheld to dock, and et cetera, et cetera. Coinciding with that, Bloomberg leaked an article. I don't know that they leaked an article. They wrote an article based on a leak. They reported that the new Switch is coming with a 7-inch OLED screen and will be native 4K in docking mode.
Yeah, my son was talking to me about it. I think they're going to call it something similar to the effect of like the Switch Pro or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. It was the first I heard of it. And it was like, actually, it might have been today he was talking to me about that.
This all just happened in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
So there you have it. We're probably getting a new Switch, and I'm in for that. I'll probably buy one. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'll probably buy one, and then I'll probably give my Switch to my wife's nephew.
I'd like to know how many controllers can you hook up to a Switch? Because if I can hook up at least 3 or 4 so my little girls could play, that would be fun.
I think you can hook up 2 sets of Joy-Cons and have because each Joy-Con can be played with one player on a game like Mario Kart.
Right.
Don't quote me on that.
No, but I'm just curious. I should look into that.
But I know that they're also linkable.
Yeah.
Anywho.
These are the hot sheets. Best investigator reporting on the planet.
True story.
Hell yeah. There is a new Stargate series being discussed at Netflix. I like the movies, never got into the TV show. I know a lot of people who did enjoy the TV show, so bring it on. Maybe it's something that'll catch my eye when it comes out, if that's the case.
Yeah, I watched the show some, but I was never in for like every episode.
Yeah.
I think that the show was far enough of a departure from the movie that I didn't quite see the correlation.
We need to start moving.
We're getting close anyway.
Okay.
Obi-Wan Kenobi to guest star in Star Wars Andor show.
Give me Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm down.
Yeah, I'll take all the Kenobi.
Yeah. Stranger Things creators are teaming up with Steven Spielberg for the Stephen King series, The Talisman.
I'm out probably.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not big. I've said it before in the whole Stephen King universe. So, but Steven Spielberg, once again, show me a commercial. Let me see, and I'll be like, oh, that might. Hey, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. Or it just could be like, you know what? That may be for other people.
Well, I was 100% on board with the idea that they were going to make a Stan TV show,
right?
And I didn't watch it.
There you go.
So I have absolutely no affinity for The Talisman, and so I'm going to say I'm probably not going to watch it.
There it is. Hot takes, folks. Hot takes.
Hot fucking lunch. Rumors are bouncing around that Darth Maul will be in the Obi-Wan series, and Ray Park recently teased it on Twitter. So it remains question, did he tease it because people had rumors about it?
Yeah,
or did he tease it because it was happening?
Just to mess with people to see what's going on.
Yeah, so you got to take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
And now it's time for Sports Talk with your hosts, Dangerous Don Juan DellaSnooch, beautiful Brady Lovin, here on the Escape Pod.
I'll go ahead and grab all the sports because it's
just
all my shit. Michigan is the Big Ten regular season NCAA men's basketball champs. Juwan Howard named Big Ten Coach of the Year. And the Big Ten tournament starts tonight. So if you're watching this show, you're probably not watching basketball.
Or you're probably like Dub and you're watching both. Because I can see Dub doing both of those.
Well, he's probably doing that. And he said he was playing GTA 5 also at the same time. Because he's got that sick-ass man cave.
Yeah, he's got a sweet man cave.
Definitely. As far as that goes, we are ready to start bringing folks in.
Heck yeah.
So first, I'm going to go ahead and bring in Marisha from Cruisicant Radio Underground.
How's it going, y'all?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
You ready to start talking about this book?
I am. I've got a little while. I got to cut out for a meeting here before y'all be done, but I'm going to talk.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. We understand. That's fine. We understand.
Yeah. I actually started listening back to it again this morning just to refresh my memory. You know, it's been a whole 2 weeks since I finished it.
Right. I just breezed through it the other day at 1.5 times speed because that's what I do.
Mine as well.
And then we've got Philly Dave Martin coming in from the Gen X POV.
What's up, Dave?
You're muted, brother.
No, I'm not.
Hey.
What's up, buddy?
What's up?
How we doing?
I'm doing well. I just came out of a meeting, Marisha. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. I jumped out of a meeting to come into here. So
Okay. It's a thing to do.
Way more exciting to talk about some High Republic than.
Yeah, I'm going to go give a
absolutely.
report on all the things I didn't get finished this week. It's going to be super fun.
Oh, that sounds great.
Right. Then we're going to bring in Chris from Sarlacc Digest. How you doing, man?
What's up? What's going on?
How's it going? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having me. Hey, on that Ray Park bit, that fool is all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Everything is about Maul and Darkseid and Sith and Simeon Dathomir. Every time he does it, he pops up, so I'm pretty sure he's back. You know.
Nice. I like it.
Yes, that's what I want to hear.
Right.
Chris and the Sarlacc Digest are new to the Red 5 network, so welcome to the family.
Thanks for the welcome. Glad to be here.
And Ro was in the wings. I don't know what happened to him.
You never know. He got distracted.
he got the ADD.
Uh-huh.
Well, I guess we'll go ahead and jump into it, and as people file in, we'll bring them aboard. So long before the First Order, before the Empire, before even the Phantom Menace, Jedi lit the way in the galaxy in the High Republic. It's a golden age. Intrepid hyperspace scouts expand the reach of the Republic to the furthest stars. Worlds flourish under benevolent leadership of the Senate, and peace reigns. Enforced by the wisdom and strength of a renowned order of the Force users known as the Jedi, with the Jedi at the height of their power, the free citizens of the galaxy are confident in their ability to weather the storm. But even as the brightest light can cast a shadow, some storms defy any preparation. When a shocking catastrophe in hyperspace tears a ship to pieces, the flurry of shrapnel emerges from the disaster, threatening an entire system. No sooner does the call for help go out, but the Jedi race to the scene. The scope of the emergence, however, is enough to push even the Jedi to their limit as the sky breaks open and destruction rains down upon a peaceful alliance they helped to build. The Jedi must trust in the Force to see them through the day, and a single mistake could cost billions of lives. Even as the Jedi battle valiantly against the calamity, something truly deadly grows beyond the boundary of the Republic. The hyperspace disaster, as far as the sinister and the Jedi could ever suspect, a threat hides in the darkness, far from the light of the age, and harbors a secret that could strike fear even into the Jedi's heart. So that's kind of the, inside the dust cover. It's
Right,
is it
right,
exactly
right there?
Okay.
It's exactly what it is.
Ta-da!
Confirmed.
I figured I'd just throw that so everybody kind of had an idea what we were talking about. It wasn't really spoilery. So the book opens up on the Legacy run, traveling through hyperspace, and another ship enters the hyperspace lane, causing the Legacy run to take evasive action that essentially tears the ship apart. How'd everybody feel about the way this book opened up?
I loved it.
You learned really
I thought
fast
it was different.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, I don't mean to step on toes. Go ahead. We'll figure this out as we do it.
I learned really quickly in this book not to get attached to people. You'd be like, oh, this person's fun. Oh, she seems like she's got it going. And then, bam, they're dead. That was just kind of the ongoing trend. But it was definitely engaging. They did a good job with the first onset there.
Yeah, there was no messing around. They just jumped in and put you right in it. Almost to a point where I've talked about it a couple times where it's so much you have to reread or re-listen to it at least once just to get everything right. There's a lot in
Definitely.
that first bunch of the book.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that for me, it was I was really worried about this book being like, okay, we have to develop all these new people, right? Like we don't know who these people are, except for Yoda, but they're going to spend so much time doing backstories and everything else, and I'm going to have a really tough time grabbing it. And then, let's immediately start with action, and then don't stop the entire thing. That I was not expecting that out of this book at all, and for it to start right away and hold me to it. I mean, did everyone else listen to this book?
Yeah, I listened to it.
I listened to
Yeah,
it.
I'm a listener. Words are tough for me.
I read this book in 6 hours.
Oh, wow.
Like that, I immediately when I started it, that was it. It was. I didn't put it down. I read it. I finished it in the shower, I think. Before I went to bed. But that's how I am kind of with, because I like to read. So I think listening to it I don't know. Maybe I would have had a different experience. I just feel like it would have been longer. But
They are different experiences. I used to do what you just right there. I would read it and then I would listen to it my second time. Now it's just all reading because the commute became, I'm going to do that more to get my life back, right? I don't have time to read it, but
right.
I bet it was a different experience for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the pacing of the reader in the beginning of the book, and I think that added well to the story.
I do miss the theater of the mind of reading a book. I just don't have the hours anymore to do that.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, and I know my experience, like with Alphabet Squadron, was the last thing I read, right, or I'm listening to from the audiobook, and I had a tough time. Like, I know my co-host Jason he's all about the audiobooks too. He likes the production of it, but like you said, the theater of the mind, like they set the stage so well.
Yeah, they
with
did.
this particular start to the High Republic that. It was great. I was really, really surprised.
Anybody else got anything they want to add to that?
No, nobody.
Okay, so we find ourselves in the Hetzel Prime system, the Hetzel system was a triple star system, the host to a planet, Hetzel Prime, and 2 inhabited moons, the Fruited and the Rooted.
So I'm gonna have to take your word for the pronunciation on all this stuff, because that's not how I read it. So
That's the good thing about the audiobook is it fixes it. Well, for the most part, it fixes that.
Yeah. You hear
besides Martian.
Right. You hear the reader's interpretation of those words, I guess. And I
fair
imagine
enough.
they kind of become canon at that point.
We asked that when Claudia Gray came on, we asked her. I said, "Look, we keep hearing Marchion. Mark Thompson says Marchion, but all the authors say Marchion, and she went with Marchion. But every book is said Marchion, and she said they tend to send the way to pronounce it, pronunciation guides with them now.
Oh,
so they can get it. That's what she does anyway.
That's cool. That's a great idea. You do it with sportscasting, you might as well do it with books too, right?
Right.
Well, you need that in sports, man. These planets are primarily farming communities. With a piece of the legacy run comes hurtling out of hyperspace. They send out a distress signal. The call, which is answered by Jedi Master Avar Kriss on board the Emissary class cruiser Third Horizon in transit to the Starlight Beacon space station. This is the first time we hear about the Starlight Beacon. Am I wrong in remembering that it exists somewhere else in canon, that it's been referenced, the Starlight Beacon outpost?
Yeah, it has in, I want to say current time, original trilogy time, I believe. I have to find it. It's in the comics is where it's at.
Oh, okay. I remember hearing it somewhere else, and I'm not as well read as many other fans are.
It was Rise of Kylo Ren. It's in there.
Okay, cool. Anyway, this is when we're introduced to all the new Jedi ships. We get the long beams, the vectors, and there's another ship that I can't seem to remember what it's called. The cruiser ship that Avar. Oh, duh! It's the Emissary class cruisers. Included in this is how the Jedis activate the weapon systems on these ships. I thought it was incredibly clever that they plug their lightsabers into the ships to get control of everything. What was you guys' take on these new ships? I got some pictures I'm gonna throw up too.
I'm mad they didn't do that with the stuff we have. Right, that should always be the key. You can't drive a Jedi ship unless you have a Kyber crystal or a lightsaber. I think that was great. I love that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I definitely was a fan of that.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why would you, like, now that this is in here as canon, right now it's like, how did we get away from that? Right. How did we get away from flying starships without this capability, without the keys?
Right.
Yep.
And that's always my question, whenever they like have cool new stuff in a previous era, it's like, oh wait, but how are you going to explain how it went away? Because there's no good reason to just be like, we grew past it.
Right.
Well, yeah, the prequels were guilty of that really bad.
Yeah, the prequels. You got this Naboo like ultra sleek chrome cruiser that you like you'll never see anything like that out of the original trilogy. So, like, what happened? Where did it go? Well,
it's actually interesting. I'm a costume person, so I read a lot about costumes, and they were kind of talking that they intentionally went for the prequels for an aesthetic that was kind of more bigger and richer and lots more, sleek and not as utilitarian. That, they kind of were going for something really different to kind of give the idea that, like, and the Empire got rid of all of the pretty things and replaced them with ugly, clunky things.
That's right.
Yeah.
Same thing. Cool. Went from clean and crisp to what we saw, more guttural, dirty, original. Yep.
Now, I don't know what you guys thought specifically of the vector ships and the way that they were describing them. And how elegantly they flew and how connected they were to each other. I thought all of that was really well. What's the word for it? Imagined, for lack. That's not the right word, but
I thought. Okay. I mean, listening to it, I like the way they sounded. They didn't sound like an X-wing, but they kind of did. You're like, oh, I can hear it, but it sounded different. I thought that was very enjoyable. And they just, I don't know, they seem to maneuver. In my mind, they maneuver better than an X-wing, more like a TIE fighter would maneuver. Well, and I don't know if I'm picturing this just from the sound and then reading, listening to what's being described, but that's the way they maneuvered and moved for me.
I can tell you from logging hundreds of hours on squadrons that the X-wing flies like an absolute pig. Like it is horrific. That's why I'll TIE fighter all day. Not because I have a 6 foot tall display of TIE fighters over here that you can't see, but yeah, that definitely the Jedi being in tune with the craft as opposed to just them occupying the space in a flying vehicle. I think it's important. I think it's important for the development of what's going to happen later, and you just don't appreciate it until it's there. Did anybody else get this? Okay.
I'm gonna add Scott in. Hey man, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, Scott? From the Sarlacc. What's up?
Yeah, you said one of your partners was gonna join us.
There you go.
Trying to. For some reason, I still can't get the audio to go through my headphones, but okay.
We're not used to StreamYard. Sorry, we don't want to hijack it. We're live. Let's roll.
Oh yeah.
Fine,
Sorry.
Well, we found that StreamYard is a real nice, easy platform for everybody to get on. So
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, I have a StreamYard plug there too. I mean, we use it for our pod. It's the best part is this. What we're doing right now is getting and being able to bring people in so easily. That's awesome.
Right on.
Yep. The last thing I wanted to bring up about the vectors is I thought it was really interesting. The writers told us that the ships were deliberately they didn't have a bunch of shielding and stuff on it so that the vibrations and stuff would transfer into the Jedi so that they could read that information and take action on it.
Really feel this shit.
I thought that was really clever writing. Okay, so we're introduced to a few new Jedis. First one, male Twi'lek, Loden Greystorm.
Which is it to me? I gotta interrupt right there. That's the greatest Jedi name I think I've ever heard.
Yeah,
Like
pretty great.
you just sound like you just do things like you make it happen.
Yeah. I feel like he's like wicked strong just from the name, right? It's a powerful name.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
loaded.
And even in the pictures of him, is that what is that come up? Montrals.
Leku.
Even
Leku,
his, like,
Montrals.
yeah, those things are thick.
Yeah.
You know, like, he looks like his neck is strong just to hold those up.
He works out.
Anybody have anything that stood out to them about his character other than his strength?
The way he interacted with Bell, I like that and pushed Bell a lot.
Literally.
Literally pushed him. I just liked him all through the book. Matter of fact, I don't, again, no spoilers. I was pretty sure that he's going to become my favorite Jedi until Into the Dark came out.
Yeah.
Which one's Into the Dark?
Claudia's.
Claudia Gray.
Okay.
Which side note, we met her at a Comic-Con. She's an extremely lovely lady.
Yeah,
She's very nice.
She's
We interviewed
super.
her just the other day. She's pretty awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
she was
fantastic.
She was rad.
Yeah, that's awesome.
She was incredibly graceful when we met her. It was pretty impressive, really.
Yeah, we were worried, and she was the classiest person we could speak to. It was awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I look forward to listening to that episode.
And that book so far is I love that book too. Just not to jump off this one, but that was a fantastic read.
I think I've got it downloaded, but I've only listened to the first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So Loden Greystorm has his Padawan, a human male named Bel Zettifar. What do you guys think of this guy? Don't all jump up at once.
Well, no. We're listening. We're waiting for the bells to
We're
finish.
trying to see what time it is.
Yeah.
Oh. For whom ask not for whom the bell tolls.
Speaking of Bell, right? No, I thought he was great. He was, it's always interesting seeing Padawans because, of course, in the original trilogy, we didn't really interact with Padawans at all, and we really didn't see much to do with Padawans until Clone Wars, except Anakin. So it's always interesting to kind of get a more well-rounded view of how the Jedi actually worked, you know, whenever they still had an order.
Yeah, I agree.
To kind of piggyback off that thought, just in general, how the Jedi are so much different than the orders we've seen, right? Mm-hmm. Just this set of Jedi, this branch is completely. They have so many different thoughts, and that's what we're getting at here with all the Bell and the Loden, and they all see the Force differently, right? And that's the wild part about this book. So Bell, the way I'd have to refresh on how Bell sees it, but I dug Bell's character being more of the young, adventurous, but yet not quite there, and has to be pushed literally again by Loden the whole time. I dug that character. That combination, those two, those were really strong.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure Don's got it as a talking point, but this is why, like, with this development and how we're looking at the Force and everything through these Jedi, and by adding Yoda in there as an element, like that's where, like, if I had any issues with this story so far, it's with that. Like, I just feel like that it just didn't feel necessary to add him, because now I'm thinking about, like, okay, Yoda has this he's with Padawans, and does he have the same mindset? Because we don't necessarily see him like using the Force or thinking about the Force this way from everything that we know him from, right?
Right. See, and I thought it was brilliant to have him there as an anchor, right? Because you can't go 232 years back for a casual Star Wars fan, right, without something recognizable. And to have a 900-year-old character come back 232 and have an anchor there, but not use him a lot, right? I thought that was pretty good, because you have him, and he's mentioned, and Evar Chris mentions him. I'm sure you'll bring it up later, or you may, about how she can sense him in the Force and what a bright light he is. Mm-hmm. You know, so he's super powerful on his deal right now, kind of separated. I love how they worked him in there, but on the side. You know, I think Daniel Jose gets to work with him in the Adventures comics a little bit more. But having in the book, I didn't want him to overflow in there, because he's a whole different idea, right? Yeah. But I think what you said earlier, whereas there's going to be a build-up for some certain things, I think having Yoda there, having everybody see the Force different, we're going to see why it becomes Yoda's dogmatic view 200 years later, right? So to have him here and see whatever happens in the next 2 years, 3 years, we have High Republic. You know, I think that's the big deal right there.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
And at this point, Yoda could literally be just acting as a teacher of teachers.
Yeah, you know, or just he's 700 years deep. He's just maybe just tired of what he's doing and trying something different too.
Right. He could be off learning stuff on his own right now.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll bring something up at the end, because there's also this element of from The Mandalorian too, where you're looking at Grogu, and there's like a parallel that's happening there in the future again with this particular being that I don't know. We can save that for the end. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that.
Okay, so we've got Jedi Master Avar Chris. Again, she's a human. I thought that her connection to the Force was relatively amazing.
Right.
It seemed that not only did she have a strong mastery of the Force on her own, she had an ability to weave a tapestry for everybody else.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the kind of character that's missing, is somebody that can pull everybody together. In the future, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did everybody, like, I'm assuming that based on this audience, right, or the group that we have here, like, you've all been into the expanding universe at some point, right? So, like, did this kind of translated for me into something that was conceptualized in the expanding universe. I think they're doing it differently here, which I like how they did it. But I think the idea of like the joining and being able to engage everybody in a particular battle rhythm was a concept that they used a lot in the expanding universe. And
Jedi battle meditation.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Words that sound like what you said.
We got I don't know if I'm saying it right, Tiami, female Duros.
Oh, Tiami. Yes.
Tiami? Okay.
Tiami.
They gave her some interesting stuff I'm assuming it's a her.
It was, yeah. At least
really
identified because of what they used.
Did they? Okay.
They did, yeah. I had to check. I checked that too. I was trying to figure it out because there were no pictures. Because I used the cheat sheet, right, through this whole book that when they put out, and there was no picture of Taami unless you got the Great Escape, the Kevin Scott Kids book, and then you flip through and you can see Taami in there.
Okay, that's she's like a blue, kind of
yeah, like the alien. What's his name? Shriv in Battlefront.
Right.
Yes. And then we've got a few Jedi that we don't spend a lot of time with. Mikhail Sitmani, an Athorian. Nib Asik.
Yeah.
These are tough until you hear somebody say them a bunch of times. A female Jedi, human.
And even then, sometimes it's all mispronounced depending upon who's reading it.
True.
Like Marcian or Marcian Rowe.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before you come on.
Right.
And then Nib has a Padawan who's a male Wookiee, Barry Agaburi.
And I'm just gonna time out for that. If you haven't listened to the book, Dave, you haven't listened to the book. The guy does not succeed in his Shriwook. He is not very good with his Shriwook.
The Shriwook is rough.
It is a tough listen. Speed it up, slow it down. It doesn't help.
I was telling Brady I way prefer it when they just read the lines and then they play audio of like a Wookiee voice in the background instead of trying to form English words in that sound.
Oh, it's not good.
Please don't.
I'm smiling because I know Scott hates when Mark Thompson does a Wookiee.
I absolutely do. Yeah, but you know what? The guy otherwise can do really no wrong. So as far as
and that is the truth. That is the truth.
Yeah, everything's real solid.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea how some of these guys do compelling female voices that just don't sound ridiculous, because there's no way I could do that.
Well, it'd be like Monty Python, like, hello!
Yes. I would sound like Eric Idle.
Ridiculous.
He's got a nose. No, he doesn't.
Fake beans are off.
Was there anything that we haven't discussed already that stands out about our new cast of heroes other than their connections to the Force? Anything that special to them that we haven't seen in previous Jedi? Well,
I think the way Avar's was described as the song of the Force, and she can hear everybody differently, and I just think, I know we talked about her battle meditation, but that song is just like you said, it was incredible. Just the way they did it and produced in the audio version, right, with the music behind it, you could tell when she was sensing it. I think that was top stuff. And then I like Porter too, the Blade of Bardota.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought the Jedi seemed just overall, they had the way they were described, the way they carry themselves, they seemed to have what felt like more of a confidence about themselves. Swagger, what they were doing. Yeah, almost to a point they had a swagger to themselves, but it wasn't overconfident, it wasn't cocky, it wasn't I'm better than the rest. They just had that confidence, like we're here to get the job done. Everybody knows we can get the job done, and we're gonna get the job done.
I think you're meant to. They're doing that deliberately because there's no known enemy right now, right? You can develop this level of confidence when there's nobody that's challenging you, right?
Well, it was good to have that brought across to where you could sense that. It felt good to really like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm definitely feeling that too.
Yeah, it was well written, and to the point where you understand why this is. It's not it's not a foregone conclusion. It's like, here's some development, and you get it. You absolutely get it.
Yeah.
A lot of the later canon kind of implies that there was a point when the Jedi were essentially the giant swinging dicks of the universe, and we seem to now be in that time.
Absolutely, yeah. You do feel, I get that feeling that you're when you're reading about it or listening to it, your shoulders get higher and you feel tougher, and it's wild. Yeah, I get that total vibe.
And as somebody, like, for me, I'm Empire all the way. Again,
me too.
Refer to giant piles of TIE fighters over here. But it endeared me a little bit to the Jedi Order, because it's not necessarily, I guess, to the Rebellion, which is where our heroes, air quote, have been, right? Mm-hmm. Now you have the Jedi as they are the shit. This is what they're there to be. And then we get to see an enemy step up to them, here as we go along later. And again, good storytelling at that point.
Agreed.
Our new group of Jedi fight to save the people of the Hetzel system from parts of the Legacy run, and at one point even have to steer a piece of the ship that was carrying liquid Tibana tank that was hurtling towards one of the system's stars. We got to learn a lot about how these Jedi view and access the Force, such as Avar Kriss hearing the Force as a song, like we said earlier. Others see it as an infinite ocean, some as a single leaf on a giant tree, or in some cases as actual elements, fire, earth, wind. I know we've already kind of glanced on this, but it bears repeating. What's everybody's feelings on these new intense versions of how people interact with the Force?
I love it. They're more of a team than a bunch of separated Master Padawan, and everybody around and doing their own thing, right? That they really feel like one unit. This is that point that the Tabana, it took a while to get the Tabana, right, fixed. It took 2 shots. And even when it wiped everybody out and everybody had to, okay, I love that part especially, how everybody had to use the Force so hard across the galaxy to move that Tabana, and explained exactly why Luke in Last Jedi, to me, right, why that would be so hard. But you were talking about Jedi passing out, just dying. Too weak to keep going, dying, sacrificing themselves to do this. And it shows exactly how much power it takes to use the Force in that kind of way. And this is also when everybody was down and out. This is when Avar feels Yoda specifically. And that's, I'm giving myself chills right now thinking about that part of the book, because that description was like one of the best things in all of canon to me, just hearing how Yoda is felt in the Force.
Yeah, so I don't pretend to be a person who listened to the EU or read the books from the EU or anything like that. So I can't go back on this to see if something like this ever happened, but them explaining the ability where they all use the Force as one to push that Tabana piece out of the way. Like, I couldn't fathom that they could do that, but it makes sense that they could do that. That was just so cool. Like, I did not expect that. All these Jedi, especially coming in the first book that we're getting, from my understanding, supposed to be a trilogy of books, and to use some great power like that, like, I was blown away. I thought that was incredible.
Yeah.
I like your, Chris, I like your when you're talking about how Luke, like, why it ultimately took Luke out, right, to be able to do something that powerful, as a singularity. Like, throughout these trilogies, throughout the Skywalker saga, we've had individual Jedis doing very individualized things, and this is probably, I'm an extensive expanded universe person, and I can't recall any time where this amount of Jedi had performed one particular act at one moment in time. That would have. Scale. So
not from separated the way they were, right? Not that scale, but we've seen it, like you said, in battle meditation. If you're in a vicinity, right, or in a room in the Darth Bane trilogy, they could do it in there. The Ithorian could do it in there.
Right. Even in Tales of the Jedi, how they stripped Eula Keldroma of his powers and stuff. They all used that same technique where they linked their minds and.
But they were all closer, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Nothing
they were all
like
they're in the same space,
right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm learning so much. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Read
anybody else
stuff.
got anything?
If you haven't, read the Bane stuff. You have to.
The Bane books are great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hands down, canon or EU, that Bane stuff is right up there with any of it.
Yeah.
If not on top of it, because it's pretty flawless. Pretty flawless.
Well, what you and Dave both said about Luke, passing in The Last Jedi, using the power the way he did, and then the way some of these Jedi lost their power or lost their lives using their power. I didn't even put that together. And like right now my mind is blown. So like I have an explosion going on while you guys are talking about the rest of this stuff because like I didn't even put that together. I'm like, yeah, of course it can lose it. That can happen.
Yeah,
they tie it up.
Yeah, that explosion is you needing to pee, probably, Brady. I can't believe we've gone this long into your podcast without you having to take a pee break. It's pretty remarkable.
More EU stuff too is like the Revan stuff is good, and the Plagueis book is good.
Plagueis book is great.
Yeah, I hope that they pull some of that stuff into this new canon.
Yeah, it's all coming. Yeah, you feel like this is the step back, right? We talked about the anchor a little while ago, Yoda, because you couldn't come back here without him. Now you can probably grab somebody from here, the Blade of Bardotta, and go back farther 1,000 years to the Bane trilogy, or to the 750 years to Bane, and then you got to go back another 1,000 to Revan. You can keep doing that with breadcrumbs backwards.
All the way back to the Lost Tribe of the Sith, like all the way back.
That's what I want to see. I want to see like beginnings.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
That's just me.
And they really can make movies kind of like Solo and stuff that are just like an isolated, this is about this guy, and then this is where we leave it, and then we move on to, whatever's next down, like you say, the breadcrumb trail.
So if we're talking about like this particular sequence, right, where we're talking about this moving to Tabana and like how they're using the Force and everything else, could you imagine what that would look like in a movie? Like present day, what we can do with CGI and everything else, like imagine what that would do to you in the theater.
Oh my God!
Impressive.
Even just with the sounds, like just the sounds alone.
It'd
be fantastic. Yeah, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about this aside from just reading. If they're ever going to have any intention of doing anything on a movie,
they've kind of indicated that they're not, but it depends on how it does. If it makes enough money,
well. Yeah, they're ending with the Acolyte, right? That's where it's going to culminate. Is the Acolyte on Disney Plus?
Okay.
That's right. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how much of it's going to tie in.
Coming together on that.
Right.
Yeah.
I gotta run, y'all. It's been real. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming. We appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right. Good night.
Leave the studio or turn your camera off first.
We need we now find the leaders of the Nihil at a celebration held at the Great Hall of the Nihil. Now, it's interesting to me, Dave, having read this book, how did you read that word? The Nihil.
It was more like a nihil, like nihil or something like that.
I've heard it pronounced a lot of different ways.
I think I honestly I couldn't even tell you. It's just a word.
It's between nihil and Nile.
Nile. Yeah.
Nile was what I was thinking until I heard the audio.
Yeah. Really. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a Darth Nihilus. I mean, it just automatically I'm thinking Darth Nihilus. So
yeah, that's what I thought as well.
I'm gonna bring in Ro from the Scarif podcast. How you doing, Ro?
What's up, everybody?
Hey.
Audio good?
You're a little quiet.
All righty. Test 1 2 1 2.
There you go.
All right.
All these fancy setups.
Glad to make your acquaintance. Thank you very much for putting me on. I was monitoring YouTube every so often, and I'm like, I really got to get a handle on this time zone thing in the United States. I'm sitting here editing some other shit, and then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, they're on.
It's new to us all, man.
How's everybody doing?
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Good.
Great.
Beautiful.
So time zone. What time zone are you in then?
Central.
Okay. All right.
Mesa in Chicago.
Yeah. We have sidebar, I guess, but we have podcast listeners for us that like we have one guy like in Bulgaria. So like he jumps into the YouTube chat and it's like so late at night and he's been drinking by the time we start at 1900 Eastern Standard Time, right? He's already been drinking for like 2 hours. So it's like he gets about 40 minutes into our show and then it's like, all right, peace out. I got to go to bed.
That's funny.
He usually leaves in the middle of Dave's rant.
Yeah, usually.
I've always wanted to do a podcast completely drunk and see what it's like, but
Oh, it's a shit show, dude. Trust me.
And Dave did that already.
Yes,
I've done it on a guest on a different show, not on our show, of course, but it was a shit show. Yeah,
It was funny.
See,
Chris is in a closet somewhere, pacing back and forth, drunk out of his mind, ready to start fighting everybody.
I was. It's before we went to videos. We were still doing them on all audio, and was with our other network, and we were on there with everybody, and it was a drinking. It was horrible, and they started talking trash about Star Wars versus Marvel, and man, my shirt was off. I was throwing things. I'll forget you guys.
That's hilarious.
we as Don and Brady, we had our we did All Things Star Wars podcast before this for the Gen X POV, right? We transitioned into this, and we had our 150th episode. So we had Colin. No, it was when you were there for 100. I'm talking about the 100.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah. So it was the 150th episode, and Jason and I just get rip roaring drunk, and to the point where there was 2 parts to the podcast because we had to cut the audio. The second part doesn't exist, but you could go on YouTube and see arm wrestling. You can see it's just ridiculousness, and I was blackout drunk. It was awful. I was not good. That's why. Yeah, that's not why we're not doing that podcast anymore. But it definitely was.
That's the shit that'll get you canceled.
Yeah. Well, honestly, there was a lot of things in that pod we were doing that could qualify on that level. The level of depravity now is not nearly as much.
When All Things Star Wars did their 100th episode, me and Brady hopped in the car. We drove to Philly and met up with these guys. Yeah. And I brought a bottle. Huh?
I showed you the town.
It's true. It was a good time. I brought a bottle of whiskey from Michigan with us. And I figured that the 4 of us would drink this bottle of whiskey. While Brady had a shot, and Jason had a shot. And then they both put it away, and me and Dave polished off this 5th of whiskey over the 2 hours we did this show.
Yeah.
By the time it was all done, we were just wrecked. So don't do that.
Yeah. Especially not on video. I can see for the audio part, you could probably get away with it because you don't see your shirt off.
Thank God.
And unfortunately, my co-host now, because all he does is fucking work out, and it's just it's annoying. I hope he's listening. But yeah, I could see him taking off his shirt and showing his waxed body off or some. Oh God, it was freaking.
That wasn't the situation. That wasn't the situation at all.
No waxing.
That would not work on our show at all.
No.
No waxing.
We're not the body types for that. No.
Sounds like Kev from Force Losers, another one of our Red Fivers. He's always staying hydrated on the Red Fives and showing off the guns.
Nice.
Get the fuck out of here.
He's got a jug of water that just drinking it looks like a workout.
Yes, exactly. It's the size of my head.
Retiring from the military made me, and that's all that shit's well in the past. I'm good. I drink and eat what the fuck I want now.
Look at this. You guys brought Ro on, and look what happened. It just went off the rails.
We're right off the rails.
Sorry.
Hey, Ro, you want to bring your volume up just a hair more?
Sure.
Okay, getting back to the book proper.
We meet the
leader.
Oh, there was I remember there was a subject. That's right.
I remember why we're here. We meet the leaders of the Nihil at a celebration held in the Great Hall of the Nihil to mark the most recent raid hosted by Tempest Runner Pan Ida, Kassav Miliko, and Lorna D, and oversaw by the Eye of the Nihil, Marchion, you said?
It's
Marchion.
The writers say Marchion. Mark Thompson says Marchion.
Marchion Rowe. We'll go with the writers. They're the one that had the idea.
That's what we said, but we have to hear Marchion all the time.
Right?
Damn it.
What was everybody's impression of these new characters, the new bad guys, essentially?
The Sons of Anarchy.
Universe?
Essentially, the Sons of Anarchy, led by an emo dude. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. The SOA of fucking Star Wars.
And I loved it.
Yeah, it worked. It took me a little bit to go. I didn't think they were much of a threat at first until you get a little bit deeper into the novel, and then it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. There's shit going on, and it's personal, it seems. And there's a lot of good, deep stuff with this Nihil. I love how it's organized. I love the way the hierarchy works. I love how it's just it's split up with the payment. It's rad. I dig it. Yeah, I like the parties too, by the way. The parties are wild.
Right.
The music.
I was the same way. I was like, when they were starting to develop this, I'm like, is this going to be like, is this a strong enough enemy? If we've got the Jedi doing these just unbelievable things, and is this enemy going to be strong enough? And again, throughout the entirety of this book, every time I thought they were going to ruin something, like they continued to exceed my expectations, which is overall a pleasant experience.
Agreed.
Yep.
It's funny, when I read, I didn't read it. I listened to it because I downloaded the audio version, and the voices, and I guess it would be a different dynamic from the book, but the voices, and I don't know if any of you guys have kids or watched Resistance. There were a group of pirates that always would show up. And it totally reminded me. They did the same voices almost. This goofy pirate, voice. All the characters had that same thing, and that made me, Scott, like you were saying, it didn't seem like it was they were much of a threat. Right. They just seemed like these goofy pirate dudes that are like, I'm like, what's going on here? And again, it might have been a different dynamic if I had read it, but I listened to it. And exactly. And then we had the goofy voices, and I'm like, it was kind of an eye roll moment for me because they were portrayed as these, space pirates and kind of jumbly buffoons. But, after a while, you're right. When you get into it, it's they definitely are, there's a whole bunch of them. There's a lot of them, and that the threat that comes in with the numbers, their sheer numbers, are impressive. And I love the way they were described when you see them in space with the cloud and all that stuff. So that was pretty cool. But initially, I was like, oh my God, these freaking goofy voices are killing me.
Yeah, it takes a hot minute to get there, and especially with Markion with his very dramatic tone whenever he talks. I feel like he's got My Chemical Romance playing in his headphones or something. He's very, very sad. He's a sad dude. But
all of you are just validating the fact that I just read the book. I'm so glad that I didn't have to defeat these little things with the voices, because like I said, with Alphabet Squadron, it took me out of the story. And
hello there.
I'm on my second turn right now through Alphabet Squadron to that, and I'm having the same trouble this second time. And I'm doing it through audio because just the time wise, right?
Right.
And I'm having a real trouble. It's the only set of books I can't get through in canon.
Well,
and it's bugging me.
Sidebar. Sorry, Don.
Right.
It's my thing. It's what I do. So I was in the middle of the second book for Alphabet Squadron, and I kind of timed out on it. Right. I did the same thing with Galaxy's Edge, Black Spire. I just couldn't get all the way through it with the audio version. And I looked and saw the book 3 of Alphabet Squadron, and I was kind of reading the jacket basically. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's a big part of something that I didn't get to. Right. And I'm looking, it's like, I have to go back. So, but instead of going back to the audiobook, I just bought the paperback. So I'll plow through the paperback so that, and then I'll get the third book. I'll just get it and not have to worry about friggin' how they talk on the radio, because it's not like I was an aviator. You don't talk on the radio like that. All that shit just drove me insane. Like the way they did the different voices for that. But I really feel like I was missing something that was significant. And the third book I think is going to be really good. So, or is really good. Is it out? I don't think it's out.
It's the review. Well, it's out, but they it came out yesterday or Monday, whatever day. Yeah.
Well,
the reviews are pretty good on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it popped up on
Refresh
my Amazon.
memory. Was Alphabet Squadron the one that kind of the first book kind of ended with like a dogfight in the asteroid field between like an elite Empire TIE fighter squadron or something?
Well, they're chasing the 204th, right? Yes.
Yeah, I did listen to it, and I remember thinking, well, okay.
Yeah, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. This time it's better. I'm taking my time with it, kind of going, chapter or two at a time instead of trying to go for 3 hours or whatever at a time. And doing that, it's better. And I like the Hera bits. I like the connection there. There's an anchor there for me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just not wonderful like some of the other ones, right? Yeah. We tend to find that in canon. You were a big EU. I'm big canon. It's just in the EU you had these big, ginormous events, right? Like the Old Republic, the Bayon trilogy, the Heir to the Empire, and that's what we're missing right now. That I'm hoping this takes the place of the first big, huge event. Almost everything else we have is kind of like character driven to fill in blanks for somebody.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Yeah.
And that's what I felt with Light of the Jedi. I felt like, I listened to the whole thing, and at the end of the day, I'm thinking to myself, it's not the greatest story I've read. To me, it felt like a really, really good Star Trek: The Next Generation episode, because there was just a lot of things that were missing there. When it comes to a Star Wars, obviously, I don't know. It's just there's something that was missing that I didn't. It didn't register for me as super exciting. It had some really great moments, some high notes. It started pretty good. Then it went into kind of a weird, secondary. It just slowed down in the middle, and then it ramped back up. And I think, like I said, it started strong, and it definitely had some peaks and valleys in it that I had a problem with.
You think it could have kept going on that pace though, because it was a fucking torrid pace in the beginning, man.
Right. Yeah. But I think I don't know. It's it just definitely slowed down a lot for me, and I just kept on going. All right, let's go. I know you're setting things up, but it's like taking way too long for me, anyways.
What I'm hoping it does, and it kind of sidetrack it a little bit. Aftermath. When the first Aftermath book came out, it was a chore to get through Aftermath.
I couldn't finish it. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I couldn't read it. That's back when I was only reading. Right. This got me into audio. That got me into audio because I couldn't get through it. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna go ahead and get an audiobook, do a free trial on Audible, and let's roll. And it was better. And then the second book came out. I'm like, okay. And then after the third one, I went and revisited the whole thing. Now the first book's great, but I had to get through the whole thing to make the first one wonderful. Now I'm hoping that same thing. Maybe it doesn't happen as far as it takes me 3 years to come back and be like, okay, Light of the Jedi is a 10. It's still pretty good to me. I mean, it has that slow bit, but I needed it, man, because that first third,
it was breakneck.
I'm making notes all over this. You can't see it. There are notes all over this on every character. I'm like, who the hell and what are they doing? And
and again, like you talk about that slow bit, like Ro, you missed it. Like I put this down in 6 hours. Like that's how quickly I read this. So that lull that you're talking about for me, like in the space-time continuum, was not nearly as long because I was just plowing through this book. So and that's one of the tedious things with an audiobook, right? Because you're kind of a slave unless you speed it up to 1.5 times, like Don DellaSnooch here. For me it was more of a roller coaster that like had to go down so that it could pull itself back up type thing, as opposed to just a steady state. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, you fast readers suck. I hate you guys.
I'm not a fast.
I get so distracted. And that's why I do I do a lot of driving when I work. So I pop that in, and that's the best way for me. But when it comes to reading, it's like I know you guys had Andrew and Marisha earlier, but he's a really great reader, and I envy him. But I wish I could read more. I wish I had I wish I had more time to read, but I wish I can have more like focus to read because I get really distracted by shiny things, man.
I get distracted by audiobooks too, though, Mike, because you start listening to them, and all of a sudden your head starts going and thinking about what's happening. I'm like, shit, now I'm 6 minutes back. I got to reverse. I missed a whole bunch.
So
what happens?
What ends up happening to me is like even when I'm reading, like it comes in waves, right? So I'll have like I bought the Alphabet Squadron book. I'm in the middle of a book right now by Jeff Sahara talking about it's called The Rising Tide. It's about World War II. Great read. I've read all his stuff since his dad did Killer Angels, but like so I'll do that and I'll read all this different stuff for like a month, and I'll just voraciously reading, and then I have to stop. Like I won't pick up another book, and I'm at the same time I'm listening to the Expeditionary Force book series. That's on
those
Audible.
are great.
Yeah, the Joe Bishop and with Skippy and all that stuff. Right, that I'm in the middle of that while I'm reading this Alphabet Squadron. Right, my brain just but that only it'll last for like a month, and then I'll slow down, and all I'll be able to do is play Call of Duty Zombies for like another month to hit the reset.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that. I can handle one book at a time and only that book, and that's it. Because otherwise, everything's getting filled and jumbled, and I don't know who's who, and I'll throw a character in from a different book. It's horrendous.
Next thing you know, he's trying to figure out why Hermione Granger is flying an X-wing, and
yeah, and then I'll theory craft it into some bullshit, and then I'll be mad when it doesn't happen. And that's
now I kind of want to see that.
Right?
It's in my head canon now.
Yeah, do some fan fiction for that. It would sell like gangbusters. Like somebody write that down.
Darth Vader and Voldemort team up to do something. I don't know. Take over a school of Jedi.
So getting back to the the book and really the audio book, the voices of the Nihil really bothered me, like you guys say, the first time I listened to it. But then the second time I listened to it, I really picked up on the fact that they're all wearing helmets with voice modulators in them. So then I had a totally different appreciation for it. I still don't like the sound, but at least I can appreciate what it is I'm listening to.
See, I don't think I had to get around it as much as everybody else. I just didn't want to try. I just took it. I just ran with it, trying to figure it out. But yeah, to your point, the mask. Yeah, that makes total sense.
So the Nihil were divided into 3 Tempests, like you said earlier, Chris. And they're all led by a Tempest runner who basically is in control of that division. And below them, they have storms and then subordinate clouds. And then I'm assuming like the grunts are like strikes. It was super interesting to look at this structure that is essentially kind of a military style structure while being an anarchist group.
Yeah. I thought that was fun. I know Dave could probably attest to that, being a military guy, is the whole, like, they felt like anarchists with a military rank and structure, and that was just weird.
I honestly, less military, more Russian mafia like structure to me, because you had you have the hierarchy that is in the mafia, and you have these certain groups and what they're designated to do, and
right.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of more so.
Didn't that come up in the book? How everybody's supposed to be all against the system, but they're stuck in a system.
Right.
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah.
This will all play really good when we talk about Boondock Saints next week.
God, that's right. That's next week. Damn.
Yeah.
And it's like the middle of March. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, shit. I'm gonna have to make a fucking corned beef brisket before the show next week.
Hell yeah.
I think we're gonna have to push ours back, because there's no way I can. I'll be having a few too many to get on Sarlacc that night.
That's the night. We're gonna try it. Get everybody shit faced and just roll.
Yeah. You're gonna get a real pisser.
You know what? I don't know why. I don't know why we said we didn't do that, Scott. We did a whole drinking series. We made all the drinks from Galaxy's Edge and got shit faced together, and just did each drink as an episode and just released them.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, until we got stopped because of trademark shit, because we had music playing in the background and cantina music and stuff. But we got like 5 episodes out. It was
nice.
It was wild.
They've done that
Let
to
me
Kevin
let me
Smith like 3
recommend
times.
I'll recommend the Rhodian Splice. My wife and I still make that at least twice a week usually. So
Nice.
Thank you.
coffee flavored whiskey along with man, it's good.
There you go. That's a
Yeah. That was another thing we were supposed to do this year. We were supposed to meet up with the Gen X guys down in Florida, and we were supposed to go see the new fucking park.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Stupid COVID.
Stupid COVID.
It's a shame too, because airplane tickets are so cheap right now.
Yeah, definitely. Now, that structure being in place, and as we saw or we talked about earlier, they have some pretty raging parties. What was you guys' opinion of the way they punished people that screwed up?
Oh, love it.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
An eye for the eye. I dig it.
Yeah.
Right.
Hell yeah.
And they just go on partying, listening to somebody get dragged out of the back of the room.
Yep.
Yeah.
They can teach the Klingons a few things.
You're gonna lose Chris any minute.
Man, again, I almost kicked off Claudia Gray and Scott for talking Star Trek on that episode. I'm like, I had told them both of them, all, you're both going to get kicked off, and I'm going to talk by myself.
That's
madness.
Oh, that's great.
That is good.
No, I loved it. I love their party. I love the punishments they do. I love the rec punk, because you can't hear that obviously in the book, but the rec punk music was awesome in the audio.
Right.
I loved it. The Smash party. That now you got Spice and Smash. We didn't know about Smash until now. This whole this era is dope.
I love punk music anyway, so any reference to anything punk, I'm in.
No, it was cool. I like how the Nihil operate. Period. I mean, I'm an Empire guy, bad guy, villain guy. So I was all over this group.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I wasn't gonna say anything. I was listening.
Awesome. One more note on the Nihil. I thought it was really awesome how they use poisonous gas or at least neurotoxin gas when they show up to wreck shop. Like they just kick in the door and dump in some noxious gas, and we'll see how this shakes out.
No, I love that, because now it leaves hints all the time that you think it's the Nihil doing stuff in other books and other things, right? When you start to hear somebody was gassed, you're like, okay, that was probably the Nihil, and they can do or not do it in that thing now, and it's like, oh shit, now you have to guess. Yeah, it's really cool that you get it, because it's starting to do it. Like in the other books, you could see, oh, was that a Nihil? And then people will realize, oh shit, they had gas, and it was neat. Not they had gas, but.
It's really cool too how they're marking their ships with their strikes and all that. It's very interesting, the synergy that they put together for this group of bad guys. I think we're going to see a lot of them.
Yeah, and then their ships are built from pieces of other ships. Basically, I don't know if they said it or not, and I probably would have caught it if I actually read it. Were they built from ships they destroyed, or were they just built from scrapyard ships they found? If it's from defeated ships, even cooler. I love that.
Yeah.
What say you, Dave? I
don't know. I'd have to go back and look. I'd have to go back and read it.
Yeah, I don't specifically remember if they stated that or not.
I hope that's the case, because that's cooler to me. But either way, it's cool that it's a bunch of hodgepodge put together big old ginormous battleships, right? Regardless.
Well, I know like Ro was talking earlier about Resistance, and the Pirates in the Resistance show, they did the same thing. They put together different combinations of different, like a shuttle Tidarium and Imperial class shuttle and an X-wing, and it was just all mashed together. It looked pretty sweet.
Yeah. Even their costumes, you see some TIE fighter pilots mixed with rebel armor and things like that. I kind of dig that.
I'm getting really upset that you guys keep bringing up Resistance, because I hate Resistance so damn much.
I have
to go back. Yeah. Yes, every episode. I couldn't even.
Every episode.
I didn't like it.
Every episode.
I didn't like
really
it either.
Didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it. It wasn't my favorite.
Oh, dude,
we're just not the audience. We're not the audience, but
Yeah, I think it was for the younger.
Yeah, that was a kid's show.
But that doesn't usually bother me. I read the kids' books. I don't care, man. It doesn't usually. It just didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, well, if you strip away a lot of the kiddie stuff every so often they kind of drop in some really interesting stuff. And I mean, obviously it ran concurrent to the to the stuff that was happening in The Force Awakens. You got to see Kylo, you got to see, some offshoots of stuff like that. So it's
but you got to see him, right? 18 episodes, and you got 20 minutes of I got to see Kylo. I got to see Hux's speech that I already saw just from a different angle. It's like
it's the first 3 seasons of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Basically, you have
no,
not even
not even that, dude. No way. It was just what the hell? Why am I watching this? That's what it was.
I think similar to Rebels. I think if we had some more seasons of Resistance, it probably would have grown. Just like the audience. Just like Rebels, we started to get some really interesting dynamics between the characters as they grew older. It is what it is. We weren't the audience. We're a whole bunch of 50.
Throw that into a graphic novel. Throw it into a graphic novel and put it out for me.
Yeah, it exists. It's part of the lore. We accept it. We put it in its place. We move on.
There you go. It's honestly, it is the non-alcoholic drink that I needed to get into Clone Wars, because I'd always looked at those cartoons as those are cartoons, those are for kids. I'm not going to do it.
Well, shit. On the All Things Star Wars podcast, what did we do? We spent almost 2 years avoiding the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah.
The listeners kept like, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. We're like, no, we don't.
Right. Yeah.
And then
once you do it,
and then when we did it, we're like, fuck, there was a bunch of good shit that we missed out on.
So good, good.
But in all honesty, looking at it now, I'm glad we did it when we did it, because we were able to say, like, okay, here's the things that you need to watch. Like,
that's
because we started doing it, it was like, oh god, there's a lot of fucking droid bullshit that I really don't care about.
Padme episodes, skip them all.
Exactly. Like, so after seeing it when we saw it, we're like, oh, we can skip this, and glean the good stuff out of it. So by the at the end, like the season 7 stuff, we're like fully engaged.
Right.
And we watched Rebels before we watched Clone Wars too, which was interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, so we missed a lot, and our listeners told us about it all the time.
But it's kind of cool that you met Rex and Ahsoka at a different point, and then went back and learned about Rex and Ahsoka. So you had a prequel, basically, of Rex and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
After me, that's kind of neat.
Because I didn't like Ahsoka at the beginning.
Nobody did. Now she's my favorite fucking Jedi.
Yeah,
right. Yep. Absolutely.
I think that's across the fandom. I think we're almost all in that same boat, unless you were like 8 when you were introduced to Ahsoka.
Right.
The Snips version.
Probably an 8-year-old girl, because I did not. And even if I was 8, I probably wouldn't have. I still wouldn't have been okay with Snips and Fly Guy. There would have been no way.
Or Tui.
R2.
Oh, yeah.
Gross.
I think I just stubbed my toe when you said that.
Probably. Guys, I got to roll. So I got to prep for another show tonight. I actually have to eat dinner first. So.
Oh, geez. We're going to wrap up here pretty quick, too. So
thanks for joining us, dude.
Take it easy.
Nice meeting you. Cheers.
How do I get out of this thing?
Okay. Now what do I click?
I'm not a cat. Okay, there you
go. I'm not a cat.
He's like that guy, like that Geico commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't know this format. We're like, what the hell? What button?
To kind of close up the book, I don't want to get into the end game of what happened in this book. Like, if somebody wants to go search it out, they should. But at the very end, essentially, the Republic's been constructing the first of many space stations in the Outer Rim. The Starlight Beacon is a military and cultural hub. It's intended to connect the Outer Rim with the core worlds. And each node of this series of stations will essentially have a Jedi contingent. If you guys were offered the opportunity to think up a story that could come up out of the beacon network. What would you guys pitch if you were sitting with Kathleen Kennedy?
Wow, Chris is going to kill me because I'm feeling Deep Space Nine vibes here.
All right, I got to go get ready for Sarlacc.
Yeah, I got to take a piss or something. I don't know.
I got places to go. What story would I want to go with all these stations? With these space stations? I want them taken over. I want them used against them. I want it turned around, and I want a Jedi to turn and help the Nihil or the Drengir or both come and fight them. They need to. They need those stations to be a huge threat, right? They need some Jedi to turn on them and team with the Nihil to F them all up.
Yeah, because listen, you do something like this even like in the real world, right? You build something that this is going to be the hub that makes and connects all of these different worlds and everything else. It is ripe. That is a target. What you just built was a giant target, and it's going to be a target for all the enemy of the Jedi at some point. And I agreed. Like what you need is like, okay, you built the station. You think you're guarding it with the best people, but every bank that's out there can be robbed if you're persistent enough. And it's the same thing. Like there's no defense that can defeat an offense if you want it bad enough.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen. You're going to have these enemies that are going to take this and turn it against them, like you said.
Well, I hate to disappoint you guys, but I'm with Ro on this. I think that you could make a show that was on one of these stations that you had a lot of individual characters going about their daily lives on this station, and you could have greater characters come in and go out, about their duties, but essentially just a little bit drilled down story about people who live in this one beacon outpost.
Oh, like a side story, like a shorter story, or not even a shorter story, just focused in there, like Resistance was focused on that base, right? Like them, yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd make Star Wars Cheers in space.
There you go.
There'd be a bar on one of the stations, and we'd get to hear about some Jedi's lonely problems every day.
Oh, if I could be Cliff. I'm down for that. If I could be Cliff,
you'd make a good Cliff, Dave.
I have a command of useless knowledge, and I work for the government. So there you go.
There it is.
I don't. Honestly, you make the Deep Space Nine thing. Again, all joking aside, like I never really was into Star Trek aside from the movies. Like I enjoy the movies for what they are, but the series I never got into. So conceptually, I can't rag on Deep Space Nine because I can't make that correlation. But if you're saying like, hey, here's this one particular station out in the middle of nowhere that's going to have like some transient people come through, they're going to create interesting stories and stuff like that, with the same crew, then sure, I might be engaged in that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, what do you guys think about, it doesn't seem like they're presenting, if they do go this route, it doesn't seem like they're presenting anything new in the Star Wars canon. Obviously, we're talking about Deep Space Nine, and that type of storyline already exists in the lexicon of nerds with Star Trek. But, we talk about, we'd love to hear some new Star Wars stories come about, and then we get new Star Wars stories, and then we're shitting on it, and then we get stories that we've seen before, and we're like, well, this is derivative. I mean, where is that place where we're all happy? You know what I mean?
Clone Wars, Rebels, the OT, the prequels, most of the canon. There's hardly anything I shit on besides Resistance. I shit on Resistance. That's basically it. The sequels, I don't love them. But I love them more than other movies, right? Because they're Star Wars. It's one big story.
Right. So absolutely, I'm in the same camp as you are.
Yeah,
I only shit on one movie.
Go ahead. What do you shit on?
Which one?
It's the Phantom Menace.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Okay.
Young Anakin and 45 minutes of pod racing gets my blood boiling every.
Damn it! I'm so mad that Scott just left. we literally argue and debate over Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones all the fucking time. And my biggest thing is the pod race takes 3 days to get done. And I'm like, come on. Yeah. I said, I don't need it.
Yeah, you don't. You absolutely don't. Yeah, the hubris of George and his wanting to get all the CGI shit. That's all that was.
Yeah, and that was Attack of the Clones. His only problem is he played in his box too much, right? He was playing with his new fucking toys and it looked crazy. Besides that, that's a great movie.
And honestly, like as we've gotten into the sequel trilogy and kind of looking back on things like Revenge of the Sith, like I probably changed my ordering for Star Wars so many times as like Force Awakens came out. Then I look back, you take that retrospective, like you realize how good, some performances notwithstanding, depending on where you land on, Anakin's performances. Or what's his name? Hayden
Jake Lloyd.
Christensen. But it's a fantastic. That movie is really good, and I like that. I like the Attack of the Clones. I like the big battle sequences. Right. From a military perspective, I appreciated seeing that level of it. It was the Clone Wars. Like it was a war. Yeah. And it was. For me, it's the Last Jedi. Oh God, makes me so mad. Makes me so mad. Like these guys know, like the Holdo stuff makes me want to stab people.
But did you read Leia?
Yeah.
And didn't that help you though? Didn't you read it before last? Did that help you at all with Holdo?
No.
Obviously not. Obviously
it didn't.
Not, right?
It didn't. Yeah, because we went through all the aftermath stuff and everything else. It was like. I think the problem with it was there was such a departure from the Force Awakens. Like you had this huge level of excitement, and I really was into Force Awakens, and then the expectations going into Last Jedi were not even close, not even the right country, let alone the right ballpark. And the slow space sequence, as we called it was like this pirate ships fighting in space, where it just the slow, like we're just going to chase them. We're going to lob cannonballs at them. They're just out of range. That whole thing, it just irked the shit out of me. And it took me completely out of it. Not the Luke stuff, that stuff I thought was good. It was, those elements just took me out of it. But again, it's Star Wars. I really didn't like that movie, but it's Star Wars. It's part of what I love about Star Wars, about the Skywalker saga. You know what I mean? Like that's what we had.
Because that was the problem with Last Jedi, kind of like the pod race there. That whole thing, because they gave you a time frame. What was it, 8 or 18 hours? I forget what it was. Right? They were going to run out of fuel.
Yeah.
And they were able to get across the galaxy and back, and have an adventure, and get arrested, and escape, and all this stuff, and get back and not save the day, which I actually loved. I love that this whole plan went into effect for the whole movie, and it failed.
And it failed. Right? The Canto Bite was so useless.
No.
Ultimately failed.
No, dig it. Now, here's the deal.
Give me a reason to like Canto Bite.
Everybody hates Rose and DJ, right? I mean, it's pretty consistent across the board, or at least dislike, or they're whatever about it. They don't love them. Until I realized that their purpose in this whole Canto Bite scene was for Finn to develop his character, because Rose is his angel and DJ's his devil, and that's where they're at. He's basically figuring his life out in Canto Bite, in this hellhole that he thinks is cool, but Rose shows him the wrong way, shows him what it is. She's telling him, rebellion, join, we're good people. Not good people, it's his conscience, right? Do the right thing. While DJ's over here, we all suck, everybody sucks, might as well just be for yourself, And until Finn eventually chooses the rebellion to be part of something, because he'd been running for almost 2 movies at that point, right? And the 2 movies spanned 2 days, and he's been running or chasing Rey or whatever he's doing, but he's not joining anything. And the fact that we finally got his angel and his devil there, it took me 3 weeks to figure that out, right? Because after the movie, we did a show right after. We went to the midnight show. We came out. We did a show after, and none of us knew what to say. We hated everything. We're not hated, but it was like indifferent, right? We hadn't figured it out. After we figured out some of this stuff, after we figured out Luke's arc, after we figured out that piece about the angel and the devil, it's like, all right, this is pretty. It looks brilliant. It looks great, but the story points just weren't hitting where I wanted them to hit. And
look, I think my issues with Canto Bite, I'm not like the Rose character. Again, I think it's just something that was underutilized. Like at the end of the day, like it's you would have liked to have seen that character arc go all the way through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was no follow through.
Yeah. But he chose, and that was her point, was to help him choose. Yeah. She was the angel. So if it was that was the case,
and then flick that booger away and never talk about it again.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
it's a shame, but
they couldn't add it in Rise of Skywalker. There was too much shit in Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, they couldn't touch it.
They needed.
Sorry, guys. Light of the Jedi. We're over here on Last Jedi. Sorry.
That's all right. At this point, we've talked about everything about Light of the Jedi I want to talk about, so we don't ruin the end of the book for people.
Right.
So carry on.
The Last Jedi is the only Star Wars movie that I refused to purchase. I never bought it, digital or physical media.
Ballsy.
It's just I was just so fed up with that film. Watching it, I watched it twice just to make sure, but yeah, I really don't like it.
So you want to hear something funny? We went and for the show we went and we saw Last Jedi multiple times, different theater experiences, the whole bit, and then we went and saw Rise of Skywalker, and I saw Rise of Skywalker twice. I haven't watched it again.
Yeah, me neither. I got it home.
Yeah, I own it. I have it on all this different medium, and talking to my the co-host, we're I think the thing for me is there's the finality of the finality of the Skywalker saga. I think hits me a little bit. So when I'm watching it and knowing that this is the end of these particular characters, it prevents me from I don't hate on it. It's just a very visceral thing where I just don't. I know the movie, and I've read the book.
Yeah.
I did that with all of them, but it just I'm reticent to watch it for whatever reason. It's not because it's a bad movie. It's just because that's it's this thing, right? This thing that we've spent countless hundreds of hours talking about, right? All our different shows and everything else. You spend, so much of your life involved in this particular saga, and the idea of it coming to an end in some fashion. There's going to be Star Wars, right? This gives me hope, right? This gives me hope that there's good writing out there to be had. And I got into this because I didn't want to miss the boat. I almost missed the boat on the expanded universe.
Agreed.
So I want to make sure that I got in this from the ground floor, so I'm not missing it. But as far as the Skywalker saga, it's a tough end. It's a tough end.
Yeah, and I rank all my movies based on how much I rewatch them, and that's why that sequel trilogy is the last, is in last. Because I haven't watched Rise of Skywalker more than probably 4 times total. Yeah. I'll watch Force Awakens if I'm at home and I'm sick or something. If I'm stuck with COVID for a week, what am I going to watch? Right? I'm going to watch the original trilogy. Then I'm going to watch Attack of the Clones, Solo, Rogue One. I'm going to go through Force Awakens will be in that list, but I'm not going to get to Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker unless I'm trying to do something for the show normally.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I couldn't even watch it for free when it was on Netflix.
Nah, it's not.
I just couldn't.
No, because I can skip parts, right? If there's a part that bugs me, I'll skip it. But Last Jedi, since I love Luke's part, I completely love Luke's arc. I agree with Luke's arc 100% because I think that would be me if I was a Jedi. It's absolutely okay. So as long as I can skip through, or now that I understand Canto Bite, doesn't bug me as much. I'm still the Canto Bite going through the casino thing and the dumb jokes and the failures and all that crap. I can get over it, but almost all of them in the just get rid of a couple things. That's all. It was.
I still say you fix Canto Bite by making Lando the owner, and then it feels we're there for.
I wanted Talon Card. A Talon Card should have been the guy with the red palm bloom. That would have got me in. I would have been like, oh fuck it, you guys win, right? That would have fixed Canto Bite.
That would have because that would have incorporated an entire different element into it that we would have got right away, right? Yeah. Casuals probably not, but for us, it would have been like, bam! All right, we got you, bitch.
And that's who got pissed off was all of us, right? Yeah. It was people that were really into it, and there was nothing to get from the Master Codebreaker anyway, so you might as well throw a nod to us,
right?
Yeah. And killing off Phasma like a bitch too. That was really annoying.
Yeah,
really annoying.
Yeah.
It's just so many. There's so many.
Because her book was good. I
book
dug
was
the book.
good.
Yeah,
the book and the comics.
Yep,
it
definitely.
was a great arc, and then done.
You know, it's funny, Dave. You mentioned one of the reasons that you really couldn't watch the Rise of Skywalker and some of the elements in the sequel trilogy, and not to get into sequel trilogy discussion here, but I can't watch it for it's kind of similar reasons, because the ending of the Luke Skywalker storyline, et cetera, but I'm more, it's less sad for me and more of I'm pissed off that this is the way he went out, that this is the story that they chose to tell. After 30 years of waiting for another trilogy, I'm pissed off that this is what we got. And there's no going back. This is what we got.
Yeah.
Well,
And
is it because we were all ready? We were all ready for Heir to the Empire? Is that why? Because we grew up or grew in, whatever it was. It came out when we were into it, right? Is that what you were wanting? Basically, Heir to the Empire? And then that kind of stuff?
No, I mean, I enjoyed Heir to the Empire. I don't, you know, Chris, you're talking about, you agreed with Luke's arc. I didn't.
Right.
And I think that's probably, I could care less if it was Heir to the Empire or not. I mean, I didn't go into the theater expecting to see anything close to Heir to the Empire. I just kind of maybe wanted a continuation of, you know, what's Luke been doing for 30 years. You know, last time I remember he was out, you know, being a kick-ass Jedi and trying to rile up the galaxy back to order. That didn't happen. We were back at square one. The Empire was the First Order. Han went back to doing the same bullshit that he did before we met him. It's like everybody devolved, and that's what pisses me off.
Listen,
there was no.
As an expanded universe guy, I wanted Jason and Jaina. I wanted, you know, how Luke was the Grand Master. You know, that's what I wanted. I wanted. Going into the sequel trilogy that's really what I wanted to get out of it, because there was that break where, okay, Disney's not going to use any of this stuff. And I was one of those people. It's like, this is going to suck, right? How can you ignore all these amazing stories, right? And there's probably that pissed off person that's still there. That's still there for Expanded Universe. Because, you know, we were going to do what if some of our last years we're doing. We were calling it the Summer of Legends, right? So we're going into some of the Legends series, you know, and going over some of the storylines, and it got me so much more into it again. It was just it like reopened that wound, not womb. Totally different thing. Yeah, but new topic. Yeah, tequila makes you pregnant. But it reopened that bit where I really wanted where I wanted Luke to go was the way he went in Legends, right? But how they finished Luke in this, I wasn't that I was upset by it. I'm upset because I get what you're saying. Like there is a lot of people that were really like not happy. They thought Luke kind of went out like a bitch, honestly. But you know, if you really like kind of dig down into it, and like you said, some of the Light of the Jedi stuff it makes that make more sense. You know what?
Yeah.
And the best part about this stuff right now is you have the Keepers of the Holocron, you got the Matt Martins, you got the Leland Cheese, and all this other guys that are making sure that these things all have, you know, connectivity.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's something that Disney is doing right. You know, how we're doing this going forward, that like making sure if you don't necessarily have to like it, but at least it's not going to fucking conflict with each other.
Right. And they've got a plan, right? Because they've been mentioning High Republic stuff for a couple years, and we haven't been noticing, right? You go into Dooku, you hear stuff about Trennis, about Master Trennis, right? Who's also in the High Republic now, but not a master. So Yoda, something's going to happen, because she was one of the Lost 20 in Dooku, and Yoda had said something about, oh, sad how that story was. Well, we're about to get it. You know, they're seeing these things coming, and then the Rise of Kylo Ren. I had said the wrong thing. It actually the planet, the deal the station they're coming from is actually in Into the Dark. That's in there. So they connect things all over the place. And I do think you're right. That's one of the things they do really get good, because the old EU Legends was convoluted. It had a lot of things, a lot of contradictions. This canon still does. It's not perfect because they started out fast. Things in Tarkin and things the Ahsoka book, there are contradictions, but it's not like Legends where you can get Boba Fett 5 different origins.
Almost all up until the very end, like the last 2 series, they had a really good continuity going. But up until then, like you're right, like the Vong series, and against something else, you start losing some of the continuity.
Right.
Brady and Don are just along for the ride right now.
Sorry, brother.
I hate to break this up, but we're pushing on time here. So
you guys don't do 2-hour-long episodes?
We do. Be 2 hours.
Yeah.
It goes like this.
Yeah, it does.
What do you guys? Anybody want to give some final thoughts on this novel and where they think we're going?
Read it. Whatever you're doing.
Yeah. I see a lot of people shitting on it, and then talking about this and talking about that, and they haven't read it. So
exactly,
that's one of the things that pisses me off. It's like, all right, you don't like this? Well, why? Well, I just don't. Well, did you
They're
read
shitting
it?
on the idea of it,
right? They're like, okay, to jump books, it's Into the Dark right now that's really catching shit, right? Because Geode is a rock. Right. And Leox is asexual, and it was in the Star Wars database on .com. Honestly, if you read the book, it wasn't made a big deal about his asexuality. The dude is too busy to deal with it. That's all it is. He's just too busy to deal with sex and urges. He mentioned it, okay? He's a stoner hippie, doesn't give a shit about sex. I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm good to go, right? Because spice isn't illegal where he's from yet. This is the prohibition area, by the way, that we're going to get into. We're going to realize that real quick. And in Geode, if you read it, he's a genius character, right? Genius how they make him, how she makes him work. And it's, at first I'm like, it's a fucking rock. And I'm thinking the same thing everybody else is until you read it or listen to it and you're like, nah, genius. It's in a galaxy far, far away. It can be odd. It's okay.
Yeah.
But people shit on it when they don't know.
Right. And in a galaxy where a rabbit is dressed up as an X-Wing pilot,
hello.
You got to give it some leeway.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
No, I think that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing with this series is, if you're a Star Wars fan, right, and if you just enjoy good writing, I was remarkably surprised at how well this was written.
Me too. I thought it was fantastic, and that's my take on it. If you've got a couple of synapses to give to anything, read this book.
Yeah. And apparently listen to it, because everyone else has. I've yet to run into another person that's actually read the physical book.
Well, I think I'm going to read it. I'm going to find some time to read it since you said how it worked for you. I'm going to read it again just to get it all, because I still think I'm missing stuff, man. I've been through it 3 times. I can't quite. I know I'm missing spots. You know what I mean? I'll get the general. I'm getting the things. I'm just not. That's the part in the audio that's killing me. I just think I'm taking too big of chunks with some of these books sometimes, because I keep them in my ear all the time, right? Or else my head goes nuts. If I'm doing chores, if I'm cleaning dishes, doing lawns, or driving or going to the store, I have Mark Thompson in my ear, so I'm not in my ear. Right. So if hopefully maybe reading it will help me out a little bit. Not that I hate it. I love the book. I love it. It's an 8.5 out of the canon. It's up in the top. If somebody's going to give me a list of things, it's going to be in the top 6 books in canon to read. So definitely get in on it, because I think the whole the High Republic era is going to be something special and something awesome. I think it's going to tell us a lot about the prequel trilogy Jedi.
I think so too.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, Ro, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast anywhere you download your other favorite Star Wars and geek podcasts. Scarif podcast on Twitter. Check us out.
Definitely. Chris, tell us about you.
You can find me with 5 different hosts on the Sarlacc Digest. There are 6 of us, and we go nuts it was 2 hours like this every other week. We've gone to weekly now, 1 hour live on Wednesday. So we're going live in 2 hours on YouTube, 8 p.m. for Pacific Standard Time. We're all in California in the desert. All the socials at the Sarlacc Digest. We have a Facebook group, the Sarlacc Digest Central, and www.sarlaccdigestpodcast.com.
Great. I'll catch up with that in the morning.
Thank you.
Dave, where can they find you guys?
You can find us at Gen X POV on all your social media outlets. We have a great social media director who is continuing in the chat right now. So from a Gen X point of view podcast, we do Monday evenings at 1800 Eastern or 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for non-military people. Next week we're doing Metroid. So it's basically like all the Star Wars stuff that we're talking about right now. You had two Star Wars nerds that decided we wanted to talk about other things besides Star Wars. So now we're doing everything is from our, we're all Gen Xers here. So everything we talk about is from a Gen X point of view. So
very cool.
Yeah, you can find us out there doing that. All the same bit, all the places you can get podcasts, and support each other. Yeah, Brady's sporting our logo there, our Beavis and Butthead logo. But and then you got some Red5 shit. It's good stuff, guys. Good stuff. This is fun.
Yeah,
this was fun.
All right, guys. We'll see you later. We're gonna wrap up the show. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for playing in our sandbox.
Yeah, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good meeting you all.
Cheers,
guys. So everybody, make sure you like this video. Give us some kind of review, even if it's angry and dirty. Brady will read it live on the show. Make sure that you subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. In fact, we could definitely use some more podcast numbers. So if you're used to getting this show live on YouTube, go to your podcast app and download us just to give us that little proper.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Don, tell them where they can find you.
Well, they can find me at Jetfire1979 on Twitter, and then they can find me at DellaSnooch on Instagram.
You can find me on Instagram at Twitter at lowercase o0 capital BIG _ capital LOVIN 0O. And like I said again, that's on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can find us and other great podcasts on red5network.com. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you guys next time.
May the force be with you.
And go blue.
I can't even drink it. I got to pee so bad.
Yes.
This podcast is part of the Red5 Network. For more Red5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.